she is trying to show just like a sliver of compassion for Elphaba, and nobody's having it.
No,
They just jump back in with the chorus like, no one minds the wicked. Like, we don't
yeah,
care. We don't care.
for real. I'm like, where is the empathy, kids? Where is it?
You guys know this is your fault, right? Hello, welcome to Show Biz, a musical theater podcast where we're probably going to have to start gatekeeping again. Because how can MAGA supporters interpret themselves as the hero of a timeless classic? I'm your host, Luna Rose, pronouns they, she, he. Joining me today is a dear friend of mine of like, what, 6 years at this point?
I think six.
Mykaela! Hi!
Hi,
How you doing, Mykaela?
I am doing well. I'm excited to talk about one of my very favorite stories, inspired by another one of my favorite stories. I think it's such a magical world. I'm excited to explore it.
Me too. So, this is the very first episode of the podcast that will be
Ooh.
released. Not the first episode recorded, but the first one released. So, we have to start out strong with obviously Wicked.
Obviously, it's iconic and like all the hype right now.
Yeah, with the movie that just came out and with part two coming out later this year, it had to happen. But before we get into that, Mykaela, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your pronouns, how we met, kind of what you're up to, what your deal is.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Mykaela Sterris, pronouns she, her. I am a queer Native Hawaiian disabled person living in the world and trying to navigate it the best I can. Um, with that comes a lot of theater, and that's actually how I met Luna, was through a production of Jesus Christ Superstar that we did in Orange County, and it was an interesting process, but an awesome end result, and with the best of people. We had an amazing time, and I still do some theater. I freelance with it. I do stage management, directing, acting. I kind of do a mix of it all. And I actually just recently launched my new company called Mickey and the Pets, which is in-home animal care. So I currently do pet sitting, dog walking, things like that, but working on launching training and eventually hoping to connect service animals with disabled folks who aren't able to access that themselves.
Love that. Very important work. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Mykaela, why did you choose Wicked to talk about for this episode?
Yeah, okay. So many things with it, of like The Wizard of Oz has been one of my favorite stories since I was a little kid, and like I connected with my grandma over it, and that was a really, really special story that I fell in love with and have watched countless times. And then came the musical, of course, which rocked our worlds. Stephen Schwartz is my king. But why it's so important to me right now is the direct parallels to our lives. I think the direct parallels of, the wizard is representative of so many politicians in our world right now.
Donald
And
Trump.
Elphaba, for real, thank you. And I think Elphaba is so representative of so many of us who are just desperate to fight, desperate to belong, desperate to just make a statement and say enough with this BS. I think Alphabet is revolutionary, and I want to celebrate that and talk about why.
To get into the background of this musical would take way too long, so I'll try to condense it as much as I can. But basically, Wicked is one of the highest grossing musicals of all time. It is one of the only musicals to surpass $1 billion in the box office. The only other two musicals to have done that are Phantom of the Opera and The Lion King. It debuted in San Francisco in 2003, and it was sort of unprecedented in that sense, because prior to that, no one in the theater world had ever thought to test out a musical outside of New York before. So that was like a big deal. The musical was written by Stephen Schwartz, and Winnie Holzman wrote the book for it, and then Schwartz did the composing and lyricism. So it's based on a book written by Gregory Maguire in 1995, which is titled Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, which in turn, of course, is based off The Wizard of Oz, which was written in the early 1900s by L. Frank Baum. That story's been adapted so many different times. Most famous, of course, is the 1938 film that starred Judy Garland. So, again, there's a lot of rich backstory with this story. The very important thing I wanted to bring up, first and foremost, was the reason I said, like, we need to start gatekeeping again. Gregory Maguire, like many authors and many filmmakers, was inspired to write the book just from reading history and reading about various dictatorships, and also from watching what was going on in the news at the time. And he himself is a gay man, so he had that experience. And what I found interesting about the story, and what I wanted to touch on right off the bat, was basically the topic of anti-Semitism. So L. Frank Baum, who wrote the original Wizard of Oz series, was a very anti-Semitic person, to my knowledge, as evidenced by the way he portrayed the Wicked Witch of the West. In a lot of fairy tales and a lot of folklore, there's always been a very anti-Semitic portrayal of witches, with the hooked nose and the weird fascination with children and wanting to eat children, and all that stuff. So there's a very deep-rooted history there. What I found interesting about Wicked is, the people, the main team behind it were Jewish, and they cast Idina Menzel, a Jewish woman, to play Elphaba. So right off the bat, the story of the musical was almost reclaiming this anti-Semitic caricature and turning it upside its head.
I'm totally with you. It's taking it back. It's reclaiming. It's writing your own story, right? Without letting other people do it for you. And then I think now having Elphaba as a Black woman, it's a very interesting, same kind of thing, right? Of you need to reclaim your story. You need to show the depth of how nuanced and complex and human Black, Jewish, queer, disabled characters can be.
You're absolutely right. I think if you have any of those identities, if you're a person of color, if you are disabled, if you're queer, if you're neurodivergent, or if you're one or more of those things, Elphaba's story will definitely resonate. I know I saw the musical back in, I want to say I was 13 at the time, maybe 14. And I remember,
Yeah, sounds about right.
I remember the story really deeply resonating with me at the time, as an autistic person, and just feeling like I was constantly doing everything wrong all the time, and feeling very weird and being bullied for that. And now as a queer non-binary person, I definitely feel that. Honestly, tell me if this is true for you. Because the story did resonate with me when I first saw it as a teenager, but I feel like I understand it more and appreciate it more as an adult. There was a time for a minute where like
For
I
sure.
didn't hear the soundtrack at all for like years. And then I go and see the movie and I was like remembering like how good it's like oh, it's one of those things where like, oh, this is popular for a reason. Like it's actually fucking good.
Absolutely. So when I was, I don't know, probably in like eighth grade or so, I was in that like obsessive Wicked camp. Like listened to it constantly, sang every song at the top of my lungs, and then same thing, kind of like walked away from it. Not even intentionally, but just you go in phases with music. And it was so not overhyped, but like excessively hyped for a while. And then yeah, coming back to the movie and as a new woman, right? Like we're so so much growth has happened since we were first in our Wicked phases. Like I am an entirely different person. It's still the same kid at heart, and so much growth, so much more self-awareness. I was not out at that time. I was not
Yeah.
disabled at that time. All of those things. Wicked now feels like everything I could have ever wanted, like to just feel seen, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm very excited to go into the themes of the show one song at a time and basically show everyone exactly why this is not a pro MAGA, pro conservative story whatsoever. The fact that anyone could even think that is crazy.
Truly, I don't even understand it. I like you have no media literacy whatsoever if you believe that. Like I truly don't understand.
I'll put it this way, the book has been a frequent target of book bans because it's so
Yeah.
political. It's even more political than the musical.
Oh, absolutely. So if that doesn't tell you enough, I don't know what does.
Yeah, so let's dive in here. We are
For sure.
starting off strong with one of my favorite opening numbers of all time, No One Mourns the Wicked.
It is magic. And I was nervous for the movie adaptation of this song in particular because I think it's just so grand. It is so powerful. It is so nuanced. And they nailed it. I have no notes. It's perfect.
Well, I liked what they did in the movie that I don't think gets done in the musical very much was they really went all in with like the caricatures of Elphaba
Mm,
with like
hmm
kind of like the really like propaganda like cartoons and like the giant statue that they made of her that they're setting on fire. Uh, and it was actually like, and this is actually true. They drew inspiration for like those caricatures from like actual like Nazi propaganda during the rise
Oh,
of Nazi Germany.
jeez. That makes a lot of sense. I did not know that. That makes a lot of sense. The first thing I wrote down of like my notes of the whole movie was OMG herd mentality because it's just
Seriously.
so like the group think factor and no facts, but so media driven. Even in a world without like that much technology, the media completely determines this woman's life. Like how these specific few people in power display complete lies in the media killed somebody.
Yeah. Even when like
And people celebrate it. Like that's crazy.
yeah, even when like Glinda is like going into Elphaba's backstory, where she's like, "Oh yeah, wickedness has to come from somewhere." She had a mother who like had an affair, and so the man that Elphaba thinks is her father isn't really her father. She was
Yeah.
born green. She was treated differently from the jump. Uh, the movie even goes even deeper than that, and it's like, oh, she wasn't even really raised by her parents. She was raised by the animals that they had working for them, and she was basically just in charge of her sister from the jump, and she had to grow up very quickly. And Glinda's like, so, it couldn't have been easy. Then, like, she is trying to show just like a sliver of compassion
Hmm.
for Elphaba, and nobody's having it. They just
No.
jump. They just jump back in with the chorus, like, "No one minds the wicked." Like, we don't
Yeah,
care. We don't care.
for real. I'm like, where is the empathy, kids? Where is it? And I don't understand it. I mean, I do understand it because we're living it,
I'm just
right?
like,
But but
I
it's
I want to be
crazy
like,
to
you guys know this is your fault, right?
directly your fault.
Like,
Like,
like this is Munchkin Land, by the way, where Elphaba grew up. So chances are most of these people like grew up picking on her. This is your fault.
absolutely. Like a lot of you guys were her peers, or even like there were some older folks in that chorus. Like some of you may have been, teachers of hers. And I guess the biggest part that confuses me is she's the governor's daughter. How do you guys, but he doesn't care about her, so why should they? It's
Let's talk about Glinda because oh my god. So, okay. Glinda's a hard role. She's just
very.
singing into the stratosphere in this number in particular. Um,
Hmm.
so I know Kristen Chenoweth has mentioned that like anytime Glinda is just singing that high, she's like not singing how she really feels, like she's lying, basically.
Hmm.
And that totally rings true because we like if you know the story, Glinda is having to put on a front and pretend to celebrate the death of this person who was her closest friend in like probably the most important relationship she's ever had. But that's not how
Truly.
she feels.
Yeah, because you got to think for good, right? That happens very shortly before this moment. Clearly, girl's got some feelings, but she has to play the part. She chooses to, fill the presentation role. And I did. I mean, we'll get into a little later more, I'm sure, but I've thought about is Glinda just the person on the inside? People talk about, well, for example, ACAB, right? Like there are good people who become cops to try to help fix the system. Is Glinda trying to fulfill that role in some way, shape, or form? Um,
I I will. I mean, we'll get into it a little later. Glinda's interesting because she's been interpreted so many different ways, but the general consensus is, she represents like white womanhood and like white women fragility in particular. Whether
for
that's
sure.
like she's conservative or she's like, you know, um, neoliberal, um,
Yeah.
whatever it is, like the general
Voted
consensus
for
is,
Kamala, but won't stop drinking Starbucks kind of a
yeah,
vibe.
yeah, that kind of vibe. Or like, um, as someone who was a Swiftie for a really long time, I hate to say this, but like Taylor Swift,
Right.
like maybe mention something about voting or gay rights, um, but is still actively friends with and like dating Trump supporters.
Right. Yeah. How do you forgive that, really? And yeah, same of like I've liked her music for a long time, and it's like you get excited about things like when she spoke out and said absolutely not Trump and all of those kinds of things. Like sure, yay, go Taylor, but at the end of the day, you can and should and need to be doing so much more. And you're just benefiting from your privilege right now. And I mean, I understand it, but I think it's a little cowardly.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to, right? It's like like there is a part of you that doesn't want to give up your privilege and the ways you're benefiting from this oppressive system. Glinda totally represents that to a T. And we're seeing in this number that, um, that's not fulfilling for her. She lost her best friend. Um, you know, the guilt is starting to set in. Like, a lot of people have, like on TikTok and everything, like, people are like, no, comma, one mourns the wicked. And, like,
Mm,
there's also like the part where she's singing goodness knows the wicked lives are lonely, where like
yeah,
she could actually be referring to
really,
herself.
for sure. I do kind of buy that take. I've seen it on TikTok as well, and I'm like, oh no, you're right. Like, I think you're right. I think she is the wicked. She feels so much guilt. And it's again kind of that white privilege factor of like, the Republican guy in his 40s who like has been so rah 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 all forever, all his life, and then suddenly something happens to his daughter, and now he gives a shit.
Yeah.
It kind of feels a little bit like that.
Hmm. I didn't get feminism until I had a daughter.
Yes, exactly. That's the energy I'm kind of getting from Linda, seeing her best friend get thrown around like this. So,
I think the last thing I want to say about this number is just give Ariana Grande her dues. She really sang the shit out of this nut. I was already tearing up the moment she started singing. Um, and in my head, I'm just like, beautiful, gorgeous. She flew down and came in a bubble, Doug. Like,
yes, absolutely. He really did the damn thing. And at the end, the option up all the way to, oh my gosh, she goes to the stratosphere and it's like it looks effortless and that's crazy.
absolutely. I'm gonna skip the next number, which is Dear Old Shiz, because it's like whatever.
Oh yeah.
It's a transitional period, but
The
we
only thing I really had about that, I was like, how are they already so obsessed with Glinda and want her to sing their song? Didn't she just get here?
her family must be like uber famous, and like everyone already knew she was coming.
Yeah, probably like an aristocrat type family.
Yeah, very wasp vibes, very old money vibes. Oh, the one thing I do want to point out is like another staple of like white women fragility, you call it, or white woman tears. Glinda's very obsessed with being perceived as good.
Yes, it's all about perception. She doesn't actually give a shit if she's good, at least at this point in the film.
Yeah, and like when she like tells Alphabet like, oh, like when I get really good at magic, I could degreenify you. She sees that as a very like virtuous, selfless act, and everyone around her sees it that way. What she like, and like she's so offended when Alphabet tells her like it's not in fact virtuous, and she's actually just
Yeah.
being racist.
Yeah, it's like nobody asked for that.
Yeah.
Uh, so
So
not
that
your place.
yeah, not your place. And then we get the whole fiasco of like Alphaba has magical powers like more effortlessly. She's kind of always had it and like has trouble controlling it. And like Madame Morrible is like very impressed, like, oh, I want to take you under my wing, and maybe if you get really good, you could work for the wizard. And then
Mm,
we get the Wizard and and Elphaba. I think
so good.
this is like I think the reason this song is so amazing, it's like the first time in Elphaba's life that she feels valued, and specifically feels valued by someone in a position of authority, and is
Yeah.
and that person of authority is specifically valuing her for the things she's been told to suppress her whole life.
That's the thing. Is this thing that everyone feared that you were told to keep close to your chest, all of those things is now being celebrated. And it's something that people are envious of at this point because you're now with Madame Morrible. Like it's of course she's gonna get like a little, as the children say, delulu. Like, of course she is.
There's like one line that I found interesting where like she's like envisioning meeting the wizard, and he says like, "Oh, shouldn't a girl who's so good on the inside have a matching exterior? Uh, since everyone's judging you for it anyway, would it be all right if I degreenify you?" So like there is kind of a part of her who like wishes she wasn't the way that she looks.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. There's that. It's been the thing that people bully you for your entire existence. And, it's the one thing that makes you so obviously different. Magic, at least she can keep a secret. The green, she can't. The green is out there for everyone to see. And then the degreenify you moment with the lighting is stunning. The way that those pink lights reflect and make us see her as a Black woman, as Cynthia. It was so stunning. I just loved that choice.
Yeah, I also appreciate the choice to to keep Cynthia's natural hair for the role. Choices like that to to make parallels to what it's like to experience racism as a Black woman. Uh, like how many Black people have been told like, oh, your hair is unprofessional, you need to change it, you know?
Absolutely. So much ignorance around Black hair, Black experiences in general. It's really, really cool. The micro braid choice is pretty iconic.
Yeah, it's so
I
great.
I also wanted to talk about Cynthia's vocal choices a little bit in this song because she starts at the beginning. Cynthia, I think, naturally has a very bright tone. She's got a lot of resonance, all of that. But in the beginning of the song, she has a little bit more like childlike energy, and it's very, very bright. It's a little more meek and a little more the quiet excitement. And then you see her build. And yes, the song writes that into it, but also Cynthia's voice. Like she finds different placement to bring it to a more warm and resonant place as Elphaba gets more confident and finds that hope that I think for a while she probably squashed all of the hope, or at least tried to. And now she has that bright light again.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially too, because prior to The Wizard and I, she's very put together. She comes off like mature for her age,
Mhm.
and obviously in part because she is acting as a caretaker for her sister Nessa, who we'll talk about a little later. But also her acting choices when like everyone is staring at her, I thought were really great. They were very different from the way I think Elphabas in the past have done it. I think a lot of a lot of alphabet actresses who came before Cynthia like kind of fly off the handle and like get really pissy and it's like, no, I did not eat grass as a child. Understandably so.
Mhm.
Um, Cynthia is like she just has a much more calm exterior to her. She's like,
Mhm.
no, I didn't eat grass as a
Very
child.
poised.
Let's just get this out of the way. She's like, I've heard this a million
Mhm.
times. I kind of know how to handle it. Um, it's almost like she's holding back because she knows if she shows even a bit of emotion, people will use that against her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many times have we heard people call Black women extreme or so emotional or hysterical or whatever because they stated an opinion
Yeah,
or,
yeah, like
put someone in their rightful place?
yeah, like the angry Black woman thing.
Hmm. Absolutely. Even though she's green, like this Elba is black. That's a black woman.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, we have What Is This Feeling? This is the song
Stunning.
that makes people think maybe Elphaba and Glinda are gay.
Which I didn't in musical version, but in movie version, it felt so gay to me.
Yeah, because I don't know, like, just the digs that they make at each other are like interesting. Like, oh, well, I don't like your voice. I don't like your hair. It's very like juvenile. It's like, oh, you have stupid hair.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like they're trying to find things to hate about each other just because they are so obviously different. But like, I don't know. It definitely felt a little, I think it was the my face is flushing line. The way that Ariana did that, that I was like, girl, you got a little crush.
Yeah, like the way they're describing like their physiological reactions is so interesting. They're like, my face is flushing. My head is reeling. What
Mhm.
is this? It must. Well, we're so different from each other, so it must be loving.
Right. How many closeted women, especially in like our high school days, right? Or a little earlier, or whatever, you have that kind of homoerotic friendship, that borderline. Like, I feel like so many women have that, right? Where before we came out, had that thing, and we're like, there's this weird tension, and I don't know what it is. It couldn't possibly be a crush because I'm straight. Uh, and then find out later, oh, we were in love with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also touches on, again, like just Glinda's obsession with being perceived as a saint, basically. Because everyone around her is just like, I don't know how you could do it. Being roomies with this horrible, horrible green woman.
But not her. Like, just
And she like totally leans into it. She's just like, oh, it's just a test. These things are meant to try us.
yeah. Yeah, I did write in here. I was like, why do people just follow the mean hot girl? Why is that just a thing that happens?
You know, for some forms of media, uh, I agree with you, where I'm just kind of like, this girl is like so mean that I don't get how she's even popular in the first place. She's like too
Yeah.
mean. I
Glinda
think,
is less obviously selfish. She puts on a really good front.
yeah, I think that's the thing. Like she's very good at like getting people to like her and acting nice. You ready to talk about something bad?
Oh, am I?
The only note I have for this number is it's too short.
Seriously, it is people who were saying this is the bathroom break song should not be allowed to watch Act Two.
Excuse, like, what?
Like, how could you say that to me?
I'm like, you're actually not allowed to like this musical anymore.
You're banned. We are attacked gatekeeping and flossing. Like, get out of the way. It is ridiculous. It's the primary focus of it changes Elphaba's whole course from degreenifying to justice for the animals.
Yeah. Which is why I really like the choice to expand on her childhood to see, like, oh, her nanny was an animal and
Yeah.
basically raised her because her dad wanted no involvement. So
Uh,
it makes sense that she would feel like a big camaraderie with the animals, uh, in part because she was raised by them, and then in part because they both are facing discrimination.
yeah. They're the other. It's whoever is othered ends up flocking together. That's why they're a lot of the queer folk and a lot of the neurodivergent folk end up in the same camp. Like it's the same kind of concept of just people don't really get us and we don't really know why. So we're just going to hang out together.
Yeah, it's very true. I also thought too about how um, the way that the Israeli army is trained and then the way that the U.S. police are trained are like one and the same. And so,
Mhm.
uh, the civil rights movement here in the United States and, the fight for Palestinian liberation have been like intertwined for a very long time.
Absolutely. I mean, they're obviously allies, right? They're obviously like feeding into each other. And that is a scary place to be with the current administration. Uh, but we'll see how that all goes.
Yeah. What interests me about this number and then about Dr. Dillamon in general. So we find out he's the basically the last remaining animal professor at Shiz. Um, and he's having a meeting with some other animals, and they're talking about how, you know, animals are getting blamed for all the problems happening in Oz. Like they talk about, really bad weather, put a pin in that,
Uh-huh.
that led to like a huge famine. The animals were scapegoated, if you will, no pun intended. Um, I come on, like does that sound familiar? Hello.
Hello. It is so direct. It is so the animals are at this current moment in our lives, trans folks, right? Like that is our most vulnerable and targeted group at the moment. Like,
Yeah, trans people and immigrants as well, or anyone
yes,
perceived as
yeah.
an immigrant.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I think the animal thing is just crazy to overlook. And there's moments even in the earlier where you see when Elphaba kind of loses it a little bit in the courtyard and the mask that was Oz breaks and you see the animals under it. Things like that. Where they're just literally trying to remove these people from their history, from their communities.
Yeah, it's very true. Also very reminiscent of real life because there's so much stuff that has happened in our history that never gets talked about because you know the people in charge don't want us to learn about it. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know, for instance, that prior prior to Germany, they also heavily targeted trans people before they started saying shit about Jewish people. One of the
Absolutely.
one of the most famous like early book burnings, which you can look up the photo, they were burning books from um, like the sexual institute that they had in Germany at the time, where some of like the earliest research of um, not the earliest, but like a lot of the earliest modern studies of gender and sexuality.
Yeah.
A lot of doctors who were working there performed like the first modern gender affirming surgeries. And that was one of the first places that the Nazi Party targeted. You're not going to learn that in high school. A lot of a lot of history either gets swept under the rug or is straight up lied on or is just sanitized. Um, I feel like when I was in school, yeah, I learned about slavery. I learned about racism, kind of. But
Sorta.
they like I didn't know like just how deep it went even until recently. Like I didn't know, for instance, that like really huge trigger warning for this entire episode. But like I didn't know that like a lot of enslaved black people were like eaten by white people
Yeah. Yeah.
after being killed.
Yeah, I learned that fairly recently as well. It's horrifying.
Yeah. So it's like, this is what we mean when we say knowledge is power, and like history repeats itself if we don't know it or learn from it.
Yeah.
This is stuff
That's the
that they
thing.
literally don't want us to know about because then we could prevent it.
Absolutely. And why does Donald Trump say that he's so glad that his demographic is the uneducated? Because the uneducated are easier to manipulate and easier to lie to.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is, I want to know your opinion, because
Mhm.
I think like even the significance of the targeted group in Wicked being animals could be symbolic of the way we literally dehumanize marginalized groups.
Absolutely. 100% I'm with you on that. I think that it like the dehumanizing of people in our world is used to like get people to separate that empathy, right? That compassion, all of that. And in Wizard of Oz, or in Wicked rather, have the oh, he cage likes it. Like you have things like that. You have where they're just straight up lying and manipulating to get you to separate that empathy level.
Yeah. Um, Also, I think Peter Dinklage was a great casting choice for Dr. Dilliman.
He his voice is so sweet. Like he's not the strongest vocalist necessarily, but I don't think he needs to be by any means. And I think there's something very, very earnest about him that I really appreciated.
Yeah, I think he did a fabulous job, and I think it's very significant to cast someone with dwarfism in this role. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, because you know, I mean, the history of how little people have been treated throughout history is just awful. There was a time, like they, connecting it back to the Wizard of Oz movie, the little people that they hired for the movie, uh, a lot of them had never met other little people before, and a lot of them, were working uh, in circuses, like in freak shows prior to this, because there weren't other jobs available to them at the time. Um, and to keep in mind, this is like uh, in the late 1930s, early World War II.
Right.
So they were also like a very heavily targeted group by the Nazi Party.
Absolutely. And I mean, still are not necessarily like the most targeted demographic right now, but they are still very much othered. They are still very much ostracized.
Yeah, totally. I don't know a good segue into the next number, which is Dancing Through Life.
I have a quote that might sort of help, that
Please.
I makes me think of dancing through life in a lot of ways. And it's been helping me kind of survive and not feel guilty for experiencing joy in the times that we currently live in. So it's a Dan Savage quote, and he says, during the darkest days of the AIDS crisis, we buried our friends in the morning, we protested in the afternoon, and then we danced all night. The dance kept us in the fight because it was the dance that we were fighting for. It didn't look like we were going to win, and then we did. It doesn't feel like we're going to win now, but we could. So keep fighting and keep dancing.
I love that. That's beautiful. I think that's definitely the attitude I've been trying to take. Not to try to like run away from everything that's going on, but experiencing joy is in itself an act of protest.
Absolutely.
Leading,
They want us to crumble.
yeah, they want us to be just doom scrolling through TikTok all the time. They want us to feel like there's nothing we can do. And there is. Um, leaning on each other for community and support. Um, whether that's through activism and then partying, like that's so
Yeah,
important. So,
absolutely.
let's talk about Fiero.
Oh, Jonathan Bailey.
Jonathan Bailey, man, yeah. I am gay and I'm attracted to that man. So
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Fiero is pan and nobody can tell me otherwise. Like that man just wants to screw everybody.
oh yeah, I believe that for sure. I I'm kind of curious to know your interpretation as he's singing this song because I think a lot
Mhm.
of people interpret his character, at least in the beginning, as just a shallow, rich, pretty boy who doesn't really care about anything and just doesn't want any responsibilities. And I can totally
Yeah,
see that reading, but there's like some lines in the show and also foreshadowing that kind of
yeah.
stick out to me. Um, like life is fraughtless when you're thoughtless. There's almost like an
Hmm.
existential crisis going on. Like, I want to know your thoughts about that.
I think Fiero is our nihilist king. I think he's got a lot more depth than people give him credit for. I think he's more educated than he probably lets on. I mean, he's a wealthy young man. He's a prince. Almost has to have been well educated. Uh, Nothing matters, but knowing nothing matters. Knowing nothing matters is what like gets you through. And I think that's so important. Or the what is it? The turn to dust line. I can't think at the moment, but there he just seems to be that guy who's like, I do want to enjoy life because everything's kind of fucked. And I'm just going to do what I can to keep moving through. I don't think that it's fully self-absorbed, and I think Elphaba clocks that, right? Elphaba says at some point, um, but right before I'm not that girl, she was like, no, if you were that self-absorbed, you wouldn't be so unhappy. And I think this song is showing a little bit of that unhappiness.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do also think it's important to note that like you mentioned, he is literally a prince. So, you have to have like at least some level of privilege to even be able to take a break from all the bullshit going on. Um,
For sure.
it's so interesting to me how like obviously like his relationship with Glinda is like pretty shallow, you could say. They're kind of just attracted to each other, I guess. They're literally like, you're perfect and you're perfect, so we're perfect together. It's almost like they only start dating because, um, you know, they're like on the same level, class
Yeah,
wise and privilege wise. So they feel like,
for sure.
oh, naturally, we have to make this work.
I think you're dead on. I think they're together because that's the relationship that's expected of them, right? Like, imagine if Glinda could say to her dad that she's bringing home a prince. Fiero can go back to in my mind, Fiero is like the reluctant prince a little bit. Like he doesn't necessarily want to live up to every single expectation that his probably dad has said of him. But I think in every parent-child relationship, there's still a hope for approval in some way. And I think Glinda would get his dad's approval.
Oh, yeah, he totally would.
Yeah.
Also, it's giving compet
Oh, so bad. So bad.
for both of them.
Also, like the right? You're choosing the white woman over the black woman who you clearly have a thing for, but it's easier to go with the obvious choice and all of that.
Yeah. I want to talk about Nessa now.
Nessa and I got beef.
Yeah, she's getting a lot of hate, rightfully so. A part of me does still feel for her, especially in this
Yeah.
number, because we see Bach, who is a munchkin, who is
Hmm.
like stuck on Glinda, and he's like asking her out, and Glinda's basically just throws him on Nessa so that she can go date
Yeah.
Fiero, um, which is that's not a nice thing for her to do either. She
No.
could just say like, yeah, I don't like you like that. I like someone else. Uh,
Yeah.
Bach also sucks for just being like, okay, I guess if it'll make you happy.
Mm. And then, really lying to her at Ozdust and all of that. Not ideal.
Yeah, there. So there's aspects of the stage musical that haven't aged well, which I'm curious how they'll kind of mitigate that for part two of the movie.
Yeah.
But the reason I still feel for Nessa, um, to some degree, is because she's, even though she's clearly like the golden child in her family, uh, being in a wheelchair, she still has to
Mhm.
deal with that sort of blatant ableism where people are like, "Oh, you're so beautiful. It's so tragic that you have a disability."
The tragically beautiful girl, multiple times said about her by different people, the tragically beautiful girl. I just want to say a big F you to those people.
Yeah, seriously. Well, as an autistic person, I get told you don't look autistic. I'm like,
What
because
then?
because I'm because you find me attractive. Like,
That is, oh gosh. Also, a bunch of people are autistic. There's no one way to look autistic. What does that even mean? I hate
yeah,
people.
seriously. No, they think it means like pasty white boy.
Honestly. Like stereotype image that they have in their heads.
I do feel for her in that way, and also like she kind of gets it a little bit from their dad, where
Yeah.
he he basically is like telling Alphabet like you're there not as a student but as Nessa's caretaker, when this is really like the first time in Nessa's life that like she gets to experience some independence and like feel like she wants to be treated like everybody else and not just have everyone pity her. And she straight up tells Elphaba, like, I don't want you here. I don't need you to take care of me.
Yeah, she wants some degree of independence. And I mean, while I am not a regular wheelchair user, I do sometimes need to. I am a disabled woman walking in this world who like is constantly paid and just like, oh, let me help you, honey. Oh, no, no, I can help you. I can help you. And I just want to be like, stop, I got it. Like I can do things, that level of independence is very, very hard to feel a lot of the time because you do need help with several things. Then the things that I can handle, like let me handle it. And so I felt for Nessa for sure.
I don't have any physical disabilities. I do get burned out more easily, and my executive
Mhm.
functioning can be shit sometimes. It's often referred to as the autism burnout, which is like a lot worse and longer lasting. It really just boils down to uh, if you're disabled, people just don't believe you.
Yep.
If you say I got this, I can handle it, they don't believe you. If you say
Yep.
I'm really struggling and I actually do need help with this, they don't believe you.
And like you were fine yesterday or whatever it was. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Always assume that they know more about your brain and body than you do somehow. I don't understand it personally.
Yeah. That's not even covering dating.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started, girly.
Yeah, so like the reason I do feel for Nessa in this moment and why Bach is such a jerk, she is so excited for this date. It's like she thinks it's the first time in her life where like someone actually likes her as a person and isn't just feeling sorry for her. And then at the Ozda's ballroom, she like has that worry where Bach is like, oh, like he's about to confess to her, and she's like, oh, let me guess, you feel sorry for me because I'm in a wheelchair, and that's when he like
Yeah.
backtracks. And, like I feel that for sure. Like I know what it's like as an autistic person to feel like someone actually likes you for who you are, only to then realize like actually like they kind of resent you for it a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. One of my, like, truly my deepest fear in my current relationship is like burden factor of like, oh, I'm disabled, so therefore I am a burden on you, and you're going to hate me for it eventually. Like, just convinced that, right? And it's hard to get out of that phase. And but then he backtracks and is like, no, it's because you are so beautiful and all of those things. And she finally has that moment of like, oh my God, he does see me, and it's a lie. And I hate him for it. Hate him for it.
It's so awful. He deserved to lose his heart, to be honest.
Yeah, sorry, but I get it.
One of the changes that they made in the movie that I really liked was so in the stage version, when he's like, let's dance, he goes behind her wheelchair and like pushes her like against her
Yeah.
will. In the movie, he goes in front of her and like takes her hands and
Pulls
like
her
gives her that
along. Yeah.
autonomy.
Yeah, that read really well for me. I was like, oh no, he's legitimately just dancing with her as she is. So yeah, he won some points back with me for that.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to like tone down the ableism that's like in the stage version. I've heard rumors that like instead of giving Nessa the ability to walk in Act Two, they're like
Mhm.
gonna give her her own powers.
Okay. All right, I could see it. Because yeah, it's like it's not something that needs to be fixed, it's just part of her. Same with Elphabas Green, right? It's just part of who she is.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think Glinda chooses to dance with Elphaba in that moment, with like her friends like telling her not to? Like, why is this the moment she starts to feel guilty for her actions? Because like she gave her the hat clearly as a joke, so that everyone would laugh at
Yeah.
her, and then she feels bad about it and like joins in with her. Why?
I think the guilt starts when Morrible brings her the wand, right? Because then she's like, oh, she's trying, and I was just an asshole.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a good
then
point.
I think so it's starting to build. And then when Fiero says, it's not your fault, and the way that she looks, her face, she's like, oh shit, it actually really is. It really is directly my fault, and I need to fix it. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah, she was somehow like a better sister to Elphaba than Nessa was in that moment.
Honestly, yeah. I
Like, if
she's
my
finally seen.
if my sister was like being laughed at on a dance floor by like everybody in the room, literally, if I don't step in to help her or dance with her, punch me in the face.
Same. If I would have already thrown hands with half that ballroom by the time like Glinda starts dancing, because how dare you? And also, like, I'm sorry, what is so weird about that hat? I, I mean, sure, it's not a normal hat, but like typical, but all y'all are dressed weird. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, the fashion politics of the show doesn't make sense to me.
Absolutely same as what makes that okay, but then that guy with like the tons of frills and like almost the same kind of design, but in pink instead of black is somehow accepted.
I don't get it. I guess they just don't like the color black, I guess.
Yeah.
They don't like
Well, and
goths.
and I was gonna say they don't like the color green, but that's not even true. They worship green and yet demonize this girl.
Yeah. Yeah, they love the Emerald City, but I guess your skin can't be green.
Yeah, that's the line, I guess.
All right, are you ready to talk about Popular?
Yes,
Oh my god, it's so funny. Okay,
it's magic.
I just love that this number has basically devolved into whoever's playing Glinda is just trying to make whoever's playing Elphaba break any way they
Yeah,
can.
it is a lot of fun. It is a little bit the white savior complex song, but it is,
Yeah.
but it's a catchy one. I love it.
Yeah, it's totally a white savior song. You're absolutely right about that. I think just the objective silliness of it kind of masks what's really going on here. So, like,
For sure.
she's saying, like, oh, I've decided to make you my new project. I know I don't have to do it. That's why I'm so nice. Um,
Mm,
and she's almost like teaching Elphaba to conform.
yeah.
I think this song also really highlights um, both of their strengths and weaknesses, where, like, Elphaba has a very strong moral code, whereas Glinda is just very, very good at getting people to like her.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, Linda's being kind of a jerk, but she's also right. Like, if Elphaba does these things, you're correct. She'll be more easily accepted, but she won't be herself. And I think that's the difference. Like, there's a certain group of people in the world who really want you to fit their cookie cutter idea of what a person should be. And there's people who celebrate exactly who you are authentically. And that's, I think, the more important person to be.
So it's so sad that, like, that's really all that matters. Like, you could have this incredibly strong
Mhm.
moral code and say the right things, but people are only really going to listen if it's coming from a more popular or privileged person. I do think Ariana, like, absolutely killed this song though, and, like, the lighting
Oh,
that they had for it was so pretty at the end.
yeah. Oh, when it's so, so pink and she is just glowing, I love it so much.
Yeah, I do think there's a very tender moment at the end where she, like, puts a pink flower in Elphaba's hair, and she's like, "Oh,
So good.
pink goes great with green," and she tells her, like, "You're so beautiful," and, like,
Yeah.
Elphaba gets really emotional about it and, like, has to leave the room.
Yeah, it broke my heart. Um, because I think most likely that's the first time she's ever heard.
Yeah.
I think realistically that's probably the first time. And like just to feel so seen and loved and like cared for and even though it's in a little bit of a misguided way, Glinda is showing her that affection, that sisterhood that she's missed.
Yeah. Well, I think what's so interesting about the number is there is a montage of her, like, giving Elphaba some of her clothes and trying to see what works and what doesn't. And the reality is none of it really works. Like, Elphaba just doesn't pull it off the way Glinda does. She doesn't feel good in it. And so finally Glinda gives up. He's like, let's start with this pink flower here. And then she
Yeah.
just tenderly, like, puts it in her hair, like, without touching the micro braids, by the way, which I thought was a really
Hmm.
great detail. Um,
Hmm.
and, like, that's the moment where, like, without all of the glam, without all of the theatrics of this makeover, just, like, this one simple change, this one simple act of just putting a pink flower in her hair, like just made a huge difference.
Absolutely. And I think it's the moment that we first really see Galinda too, because like you think her whole existence is a performance. And in that moment, you see her a little bit more authentically and you see her crack a little bit and just like feel, like actually feel. It was really, really special. Don't think it could have been done better.
God, I just needed to take a moment to really appreciate this musical because like these are fucking amazing songs, and then like um just the fact that you could even like pick up these themes in probably the silliest song of the whole show is what
Yeah.
makes it so incredible.
Yeah, it's so layered. Steven Schwartz is very, very clever with his lyrics and keeping it lighthearted on the surface when there's so much underneath.
Yeah. Are you ready to talk about I'm Not That Girl? Because I'm not ready.
Oh gosh, I'm Not That Girl is I think it's my favorite song in the movie. It's always been one that was special to me because I, existed especially in my younger years as like the tallest, fattest, most of the time brownest person in the room. Especially like, dating when you're young and all of that. Like I was not what any of those teenage boys wanted. Um, and so that song always like sat heavy with me. Uh, but the line that I wrote down was don't wish, don't start. Wishing only wounds the heart. And it like shattered me.
Yeah, yeah, basically what happens leading up to this number, Dr. Dillamon has disappeared and been replaced as the history professor, who then proceeds to bring in this poor little lion cub that they're going to be doing experiments on, and then like a big potion like comes in, like knocks everybody out, and because Elphaba's like hell no, Fiero
Hmm.
happens to be awake and like decides to help her set the little
Yeah.
lion cub free. And I thought it was so interesting that like this is the moment she realizes she has feelings for him. It because it's it's not his appearance, it's not his kind of swagger that he's got that's
Hmm.
like super charming to everybody else. She didn't really think much of him up to this point. He's like, oh, he seems like kind of a tool. It's the moment where he's doing something selfless when he doesn't really have to. Like there's no real
Yeah.
reason that he's there. And that's what attracts her to him.
Yeah. And he jumped on it quick too. I paid attention to that when I rewatched today. I was like, oh, it was the second everybody else was out, he was going for that cup. He was like, all right, let's go. And I also noticed he was the only other person to say anything when Dr. Dillamond was taken. Everyone else, like, there's gasps and like small murmurs to each other and whatever. But Fiero actually yells out, he's like, hey, which that's not a lot, but to be the only other person to say anything, I think is notable.
Yeah. And we kind of get like the first real bit of depth to him, and kind of the more of a reveal of his true nature, where like he's not just completely apathetic and like does it's not like he doesn't care about what's happening in the world. When he sees an opportunity to do something, he does something. Yeah. I want to leave in like just kind of the bits of silence while we're like figuring out what to say next or how to segue into the next song, which I still have a couple more thoughts about. I'm Not That
Yeah.
Girl, but I think it's important to kind of just sit with this.
Yeah, acknowledge the weight of it. Like we're living in collective fear and trauma every single day. So I think it's important to take those moments to just breathe and heal and be with each other, be with people who feel it too. Um, it's it's needed.
Yeah. So, yeah, I kind of had similar thoughts about I'm Not That Girl as You, where, Elphaba really does have a low opinion of herself because of how she's been treated her whole life.
Yeah.
Um, and I literally wrote down, like, oh my gosh, how many women of color are made to feel unlovable for their appearance? How many disabled or neurodivergent people are made to feel unlovable
Mhm.
for their disability? So kind of just basically echoing what you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, yeah, so our next number is One Short Day. So this is when they're going into the
Hmm.
Emerald City, and like Elphaba's gotten an invitation to see the wizard. And she's like, this is my chance to let him know what's going on with the animals, and he's gonna fix everything.
Yeah.
Oh boy. This is
There's a lot here.
also like right before this. This is when Galinda decides to start going
Mhm.
by Glinda. It's first of all the
It's
way
performative activism at its finest.
it is such a like, ooh, liberal women who voted for Kamala Harris, let's get blue bracelets so people of color know we're safe. Just have you thought about just also like not saying or doing racist things? I don't know.
Right. Have you thought about like speaking out against hate crimes and microaggressions and all of that that's happening in front of you daily? No. Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's the blue bracelet, it's the black square, which I'm I'm sad to say I was guilty of when everyone was doing that.
Yeah.
And then I and then I
Same.
and then I learned.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is actually isn't it's not doing anything at all. Um,
Yeah.
but it's just such a surface level way. Because for anyone who doesn't know, Dr. Dillamon, because of the way goats talk, kept mispronouncing Galinda and saying Glinda because like he can't pronounce the A in the middle, uh, which is like another whole that's like a whole other layer of like
Oh,
racism. Like if you're if you're an
absolutely.
immigrant who talks in a certain accent, like people get mocked to it. It's just the way Linda like was constantly correcting. It was like, it's ga Linda, it's ah. You keep using that ah. I'm just like, oh my god, shut up. And then to,
Yes.
and then to find out like, oh, Fiero like really cares about what's going on, so I have to seem like I care about what's going on. So she like gets
Hmm.
everyone's attention. She's like, in honor of Dr. Dillman, I'm gonna go by Glinda. I was like,
Oh, okay.
come
What is that
on.
doing?
Uh,
What is that doing, girl?
yeah, so that leads into One Short Day. Alphabet invites Glinda to go with her, and they're like enjoying all like how beautiful the Emerald City is, and there's so much to do. It's a big bustling city that
Mhm.
is 100% distracting and masking from all of the problems happening in Oz.
Uh-huh. Can anyone say capital in the Hunger Games? Like, yeah, it's same thing.
Yeah, or even like a real life example, Hollywood.
Yeah, absolutely. People, all glamorized while the world is falling apart around them.
This is also where we learn about the Grimoire, which is like the big spell book. Super
Hmm.
ancient. There's no one alive who can even read it anymore, except supposedly for the wizard.
Yeah.
So like
So,
there was like a whole prophecy
capability.
where like, oh, someone's gonna come to Oz from somewhere else and like know how to read it, and supposedly the
Hmm.
wizard like fulfilled that prophecy. Um, I actually don't remember if this is in the stage musical, but in the movie, We find out he comes in his hot air balloon. He's literally just saying his hometown, which is Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha. Girl, that's crazy.
It's like, oh
That
my
is
god, you
crazy
tool.
work. Yes. He's just, he is really taking Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss seriously. Um, and I don't love it. Like, he's so, so fake.
Yeah, and like the way that he just like goes with it. It's interesting because I get this sense that like the wizard was just trapped on his hot air balloon and like happened upon Oz by chance. And
Hmm.
but because everyone was so fascinated by him, it's like, oh, maybe he can read the Grimoire. Maybe he's the one. And he just kind of went along with it.
He just kind of, yeah, happened into this position of great power. And I guess if I'm that guy and I have no way to know how to get home, I have no idea where I am a little freaked out, and they just hand me the seat of power and start worshiping me. I get okay, I guess he just goes along with it.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get in the next song, which is Sentimental Man. Very short song. The wizard is like, again, projecting an image of like basically a fatherly figure. Clearly, like the father Alphaba never had. And
The
he's like,
irony there, of course.
yeah. And just like this performance of like, oh, of course I'll help you uh, rescue the animals. Like, I would do anything for you. You're like a daughter to me.
Hmm. Yeah, using her lack of parent figures to manipulate her.
Yeah. And then the reveal that like he's actually the one behind the animals disappearing and how they're like just doing the most awful experiments on them.
Yeah.
And like
And go
they
ahead.
oh yeah. Like the way they like manipulate her into doing it too.
Yeah, it is so deceitful and just I honestly I've wondered like how did you think that was going to go, buddy? Because at least Morable, you kind of know her at this point. You know that she's very strong and like very empathetic, very caring person. And how did you think just straight up lying to her and forcing her to abuse animals was going to go? I don't see where we saw a positive outcome. And then he says, which, oh boy, is this not the exact tactic of a certain Republican Party? The best way to bring people together is to give them a really good enemy.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, you look throughout history, basically anytime there's a huge tragedy or a recession or just any sort of hard times,
mhm.
people look for a particular group to blame. Usually a group
Yeah,
that is already being systemically oppressed.
typically.
So, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like they're offering Elphaba basically everything she's wanted: a family, a position of power.
Hmm.
And I love in Defying Gravity where she says, I don't want it, and then corrects herself. She's like, no, I can't want it anymore.
Yes. Oh, I love that correction. It's stunning.
Where, like,
Yeah.
she does want it, or she did, but now that she
Yeah.
knows what it really entails, she can't let herself want it anymore.
Absolutely. 'Cause now that she knows the truth of it. And I was thinking about, I mean, I think this applies in things like the Diddy case. I think it applies in things like the current White House, of the concept of like, if you get a little too close and you start to know too much, either you know too much or are viewed as a threat or possibly more powerful than that person, you either have to be turned into one of them or you're killed. Like, those are pretty much the option. And that's what Elphaba faced. And she was thankfully able to run instead, but then we see her get killed later. It's their only two options because otherwise they feel that their power is threatened.
I love Defying Gravity so much.
So much. It's a masterpiece. This is my favorite Defying Gravity for sure.
Oh my god, I love Cynthia so much. She did this song so much justice.
Yes. Cynthia Erivo is any song she sings is like a masterclass. It's stunning. But she really did the thing. I will say, like in the beginning of this song, when Glinda is like trying to kind of talk her down, there's a part of Glinda that's right in the sense that Elphaba did kind of go radical. She did react rather than respond. She did like kind of rush through things that ended up putting both of them in danger. Those things are all true, and I truly believe like Elphaba, there was no other option for her. Like it was just that powerful. It was that heartbreaking and life-changing for her to find out this information.
Yeah, totally. The different ways of interpreting this song are interesting. I've seen some people interpret Glinda's choice to stay behind as like a way to like change the system from within, and like that's the route
Yeah,
she takes. I've seen some people uh take the interpretation of like, oh, she really just wants to hold on to her privilege, and when push comes to shove, that's ultimately what she values over preserving the relationship with Elphaba.
yeah. And I think it's just, even if there's part of Glinda, I know there's a part, I just don't know how big that part is. But there's a part of Glinda that really wants to go with her, but it's scary as hell. Because, like, this is everything you've ever known, like, changing on a dime. And it's so, so scary. You got to think that's also walking away from her parents who are loving and present figures. Like, Elphaba doesn't have really anybody other than Glinda and sort of Fiero at this point to run away from. Like, she's always kind of been a lone wolf, so it's a little bit less intimidating for her to just run.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So as she's flying away, right? Madame Morrible like makes this announcement. It's like, there's an evil witch. She's a
Mhm.
fugitive now, and she has like this whole speech, and then she ends it with like, her green skin is
Mhm.
a manifestation of her evil nature, and just really leaning into the caricature and the propaganda.
Yeah. Can anybody say fear mongering?
Yeah. What do you think about the change? When everyone's like, "Look at her, she's wicked." In the stage version, they just say "get her," but in the movie, they said "kill her." Did you notice that?
I did. And honestly, I like it. I think it like startled me when I heard it, honestly, because I'm so used to the stage version. So when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, kill her." But that's what they want. And I think it's more direct, and I like it because that is what we're doing. Let's not make light of it.
Yeah, I do appreciate that they choose not to sugarcoat it for the movie. So
Hmm.
I also really like the change. And then when she just hits that high note, she's like, "Bring me down," and
Yeah.
everything's breaking. Almost like her singing voice, just breaks all the glass, and just the power. She makes the power go out in all of the Emerald
Yeah.
City. I
Because
loved that. That gave me
she's that
chills.
girl.
She
Yeah,
is
it was
that girl.
stunning. It was perfect. Also, in Defying Gravity, at some point, you see Madame Morrible take Glinda. All of a sudden, she's hated Glinda this whole time. She's been an asshole to Glinda this whole time. And all of a sudden, she lost her little puppet. So now she's going to take the one that's easier to manipulate.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart because you know that Glinda takes the bait. Obviously, we all know where it goes, but it's just so sad
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking for sure. And this is really like it's the beginning of the end of their friendship the way that it was up to this point. Which I think it's very, very upsetting when that happens in real life.
Yeah. Oh, friend breakups are, I mean, there are some friends that I've lost that I'll never get over, you know? It's friend breakups are hard.
Yeah. There's one more thing I want to say about this number before we get into Act Two. Um, I just really like the line right before they part ways where they say, "I really hope you get it and you don't live to regret it."
Yes.
And in the end, they kind of both end up regretting their decisions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. They both like maybe went a little too far or maybe didn't see the full scope of what they were signing up for or whatever it was. And they definitely, I think you're right. I think they both do regret it.
We will now be taking a quick intermission. If you're enjoying this episode so far, be sure to check out the extended version on my Patreon. That's right, for just $3 a month, you get early access to the extended versions of each episode, as well as the occasional bonus episode, some bonus content, and a shout out on the podcast. Once again, that's just $3 a month. Patreon will be in the description box down below. And now, let us return to our seats for Act 2. So we're now getting into Act Two. Big spoiler warning for anyone who has never seen the musical and I don't know, like wants to see what happens in part two of the movie. Um, I don't understand you, but you've been warned.
Yes.
So we've got thank goodness where so Act Two takes place like several years later, and it's taking place like right before and then around the time Dorothy Gale arrives. So basically, and thank goodness, like we see Elphaba's a fugitive now, and Glinda's like become a public figure, and it's like she's basically like a celebrity slash politician, and this is where also she like randomly announces her engagement to Fiero, which even he didn't know about.
Yeah.
It's a very just like it's a very like celebrity relationship. It's giving like Taylor.
Yeah.
It's giving. It's giving like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey.
A little bit. Yeah. They're just like the America sweetheart kind of energy, but as a couple.
Yeah, I see more propaganda where like Madame Morrible is straight up lying about how the events of Defying Gravity went down. She was like, "Oh yeah, Glenda was totally our first choice, and when the wizard appointed her instead of Elphaba, she got really jealous, and that's when she started
Yeah.
being wicked." Just like, okay.
God, it's just straight up lies. And I guess there is a purpose because it's for at least for the wizard and Madame Morrible, they're like covering their own butts, but it just makes me mad because I'm like, it's nowhere close to the truth.
No, like, oh my gosh, that's been happening a lot. In the news lately. I just recently read like an article that was really misleading in the title, where
Mm.
it was a woman in Idaho who like went to like a town hall meeting that was led by a bunch of Republicans.
Okay.
And the news article made it seem like she was super aggro, and that's why they like held her down and restrained her, like these grown ass men basically just attacked her. Uh, all she said was, "Is this a lecture or a town hall meeting?" in response to these people's bigotry. Again, this is in Idaho. This is the state that brought up the idea to overturn gay marriage and leave that up to the
Right.
states.
Yeah, how is that an issue? I don't understand.
Yeah. And then there's the whole thing with that Luigi guy who like assassinated a CEO of a health insurance company because how he was denying a bunch of people life-saving healthcare.
Hmm.
Uh, like the media has had a field day with that guy and like not told the whole story about like his background and like why he even did that in the first place. They're just like, he's a terrorist and he deserves the death penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because they don't want to be honest about how shitty they are. Like,
Yeah,
really is the truth because you have to make the vigilante or whoever, you have to make them the villain. The alternative is being honest about how shitty of a person you are, you know, how bad you've treated others.
yeah, for real. Yeah, we're definitely getting like the vibe that Glinda's still putting on that front, and she's like, "I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Everything's great, everything's fine," and they're really not fine.
Not fine at all. But she's really good at a show. And I do like at some point the crowd is like saying the whole pure water can melt her thing, and Fiero's like, "What are you talking about? That is ludicrous. Like, why would you believe that? That is crazy."
Yeah,
And
even
it's
as
fun. Like,
like he's supposed to just be Glinda's arm candy. He is still
mhm,
speaking up publicly.
absolutely.
So this next number, which is The Wicked Witch of the East, is not in the official
Mhm.
soundtrack, but basically Elphaba goes to visit Nessa, who is like drinking the Kool-Aid. Basically, she's totally buying into all the stuff that's been said about Elphaba, and she's like, "You're a fugitive, and like Dad is dead, and you've got these powers all of a sudden. You've got the Grimmery, and like you didn't even think to do anything for me." I was like, "Oh my god, she's got bigger fish to fry. Shut up."
Yeah. There's a couple of things going on. And then yeah, I don't know how to feel about this song. I don't Have you heard if they are including this in the Act Two musical or are they changing parts of it? Because it feels weird.
I think I think they're gonna change parts of it because oh my gosh, what is the actress's name who plays Nessa in the movie?
I think Marissa Bode, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah, because she's an actual wheelchair user in real life, and I know that they're getting her input. It's like, okay, what could we do instead of giving Nessa the ability to walk? Because like that storyline is a part that hasn't aged well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely not. I'm glad that they are like consulting with her and actually just the fact that they actually cast a wheelchair user is a step up from most of Hollywood. So
Yeah,
acknowledging that.
it cannot be overstated just how appreciated it is to cast an actual disabled actor
Yes.
as a disabled character. That like never gets done in Hollywood ever. Like the whole reason like the theater troupe I'm a part of, the Epic Players, even exists uh, is to bridge that gap for mostly neurodivergent actors, but really actors of like varying disabilities, because
Yeah.
only like 2% of stuff that gets made in Hollywood features disabled characters. And like out of that 2%, like the vast majority of them go to non-disabled
Mhm.
actors. So it's like the very few opportunities that disabled actors could even have, you're not even giving them that chance. And so I do
Right.
appreciate that they made the right choice.
For sure.
This is where we also learn, because I don't think we need to say it. Nessa is the Wicked Witch of the East because she's Elphaba's sister, uh, and like I think what we mentioned earlier about like her anxiety about being pitied as a disabled woman, uh, totally understandable, and like I totally empathize with that. I do think it does
Yeah.
inform the way she runs Munchkinland after her father passes away, because she basically just takes away all the Munchkin's rights because she's so desperate to like keep Bach around and make sure he doesn't leave her.
Yeah. 'Cause, he's the one person, at least in her mind, who like loves her even as she is. So it's hard to want to like let go of that. And I get that. I understand it. And Homegirl took it a little far.
Yeah, I think this musical does a pretty good job, for the most part, of like highlighting intersectionality.
Mhm.
Because like having like one or two marginalized identities doesn't necessarily absolve you of the ways in which you're privileged and in which the ways you cause harm to other groups of people.
Yeah.
And we see that the most clearly with Nessa. It's like, yeah, you are in a wheelchair, and that does inform the way people treat you, and like we sympathize with that. You're also the daughter of a governor, and now you are a governor yourself, and so you have a
Yeah.
lot of power over all these people in Munchkin Land, and you're abusing it. Like you
Yeah.
are abusing it.
Absolutely abusing it and taking, your little grudge with your sister and turning it into what it's turning into. Um, yeah. And it's pretty unfortunate. And it's like, hey girl, what if instead you go to some therapy? Throwing it out there.
Is there therapy in Oz?
I I imagine an animal being a therapist for some reason. Like, no, I want a goat therapist.
It is very sad. Not that they're not that the sisterly relationship was very great to begin with, because you know their dad kind of pitted Nessa against Elphaba from the time she was born. But to see how much this type of propaganda and like indoctrination like does tear families apart is very sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. This is where Bach turns into the Tin Man, because then in the stage musical, like she does gain the ability to walk, and so Bach takes the opportunity to be like, oh, so I don't have to be with you anymore, actually, because you can
Yeah.
walk now, so there's nothing to like sympathize you for, and
I,
like just confirming
I,
her worst
eh,
fears.
yeah, it really is exactly what she feared. And it's the thing of like, oh, I'll stay with you while you're sick. And then once you get better, though, I'm out. Like, it's gross, but we see it happen all the time.
So this is where like one of the moments that makes it really really hard to completely like Nessa as a character, because she finds out Bach's true feelings, heart wrenching. I get it, but then her solution to that is to take the Grimoire, knowing full well she cannot read that thing, and she doesn't even know what she's saying, and she like almost kills him. And then
Yeah.
Elphaba has to step in and like save him, but the only way to really save him is to make him into a Tin Man. And then naturally he's horrified by what he's just become. Like I'm sure that would be a big shock to anybody. Nessa
Yeah.
immediately throws Elphaba under the bus. She was like, it was her fault. She did it. It was her. I was like, oh
Bro.
my God.
No, you were just angry. And rightfully so, you're allowed to be angry. That was messed up. And girly pop, that was a lot.
And it's like, Elphaba wouldn't have even needed to do that if you hadn't almost killed him.
Yeah, correct.
I'm just like, oh my
So,
God, she's like a perfect example of someone who like weaponizes like the one or two marginalized identities to just hurt people. Like so many white autistic people do that. A lot of white autistic cis men do that. A lot of
yeah.
white queer people do that.
Hmm.
We're like, I'm gay, so I can't be racist. I'm autistic, so I don't know better than to not harass women.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of excuses and a lot of lack of accountability.
Yeah. So those are my thoughts on Nessa.
Yeah, hard agree. She's a heartbreaking character to me because I think there's a world in which she's really, really special, and her and Alphaba help each other heal. And it's unfortunate that they don't get that opportunity.
Yeah. Also, can people stop being nasty and ableist to the actress?
Yes, it is not her fault. She is playing a role. She's just a woman.
I mean, like, for everything I've just said about Nessa, I do appreciate that, we have a disabled character who is just allowed to be an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not all about, pitying her and fixing her and all of that. Like she finds her own power. She has her own kind of plot line.
Yeah. So the next song is Wonderful. This is where the wizard, uh, you know, is trying to appeal to Elphaba's vulnerabilities, and he's trying to project this humility factor to him. He was like, I never wanted this power, but I took it on anyway because these people were looking for a leader. I just ended up here by chance and I just went with it. But he says some lines in this song that are so interesting to me. So Elphaba like rightfully points out that he is lying and that's how he got his power. And the
Yep.
way he responds is like, where I'm from, we believe lots of things that aren't true. It's called history.
Oh, what a great line. I mean, a terrible line, but a great line.
Yeah, it's like a rich man is a thief or philanthropist, is one a crusader or ruthless invader. It's all in which label is able to persist. There are precious few at ease with moral ambiguities, so we act as though they don't exist.
Mm.
Again,
Cool.
it's like another example of like this guy is so evil, but he's kind of right.
He's kind of right, and I hate it.
Yeah. Like, yeah, this isn't a song that sticks out to me too much. I don't have much to say about it. It does segue into kind of what we figured happened with Dr. Dillamond. I'm so not ready to watch part two. I'm very sensitive about animals,
Mhm.
and just knowing what happens to him in the end, I'm gonna be a mess.
For sure going to be weeping part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get I love this so much. So we get I'm Not That Girl reprise. I always say this. What makes a good reprise is that it's the perfect parallel to the original song. So I'm Not That
Hmm.
Girl, Elphaba's talking about, she's in love with Vero, but she doesn't think he loves her back. She has a low opinion of herself because of how she's been treated her whole life for being green. In
Hmm.
the reprise, it's Glenda being like, "Oh, I'm not that girl. My fiance is actually in love with another woman, and they have like, and like their relationship is so much deeper than ours was."
Yeah. and Linda are just very, very superficial. Like you said, very Hollywood couple.
Yeah.
And
And then
that's
it
all
immediate
other.
it immediately goes into as long as you're mine.
Oh, I will tell you guys right now, I am not prepared for a Cynthia Rio Jonathan Bailey as long as you're mine. I will explode.
Yeah, cuz you know they're going to fucking eat this song up.
Absolutely eat it down. It's gonna be so good. I can't even wait.
Oh my god. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about this song, but just oh my god, I love it so much. And I just love the little with everything going on, they are just able to have this moment with each other. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it's beautiful. One of my favorite lines in it is the come be how you want to and see how bright we shine. Because it's like, it doesn't matter that he's, the scarecrow. It doesn't matter that she's green and hated by everyone. It doesn't matter. It's just as long as we're together, as long as it's you, then, we'll shine.
Yeah, absolutely. Fierro, yeah, like their relationship uh, is revealed, and so Fierro is like arrested, and now he's a fugitive as well, and like they're about to kill him, which goes into no good deed. I am really, really not ready for Cynthia to just sing the shit out of this song.
Oh my God. I can't wait to hear what like riff choices he makes because I know she's gonna do something different and I want to eat it up.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's anything about Cynthia, she is going to just have the most beautiful riffs.
Yes.
But God, I might like this I think this might be my favorite song in the soundtrack cuz
Fair.
like it's not only like, you know, just fucking amazing. Um, it's really the moment Elphaba does start to wonder like, why am I here? What's the point of any of this? Everyone is just demonizing me. It seems like any action I take makes things worse. Everyone I love is being attacked or died.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I am wicked.
Well, and you go so long being told something, being hearing it from everyone around you, from all of the media, from all of that. There's got to be some part of you that believes it. It's like a classic gaslight kind of thing. And it's so hard that what does she say? So be it then. Let all Oz be agreed. I'm wicked through and through. Like, she just gives that up. At some point, you got it. You're like, fine. Okay, you want to see wicked? Let's go.
Yeah. I think it's important to note too that Elphaba like is also like somewhat privileged because at
Mhm.
least she's literally the daughter of a governor. Um,
Yeah,
she almost destroyed all of Shiz earlier in the show, and rather than getting kicked out, Madame Morrible like takes her on. Like you got to have some level of privilege to be able to pull that off.
for
And
sure.
so even though she definitely has more of a disadvantage, um, she can still make mistakes. And, her attempts at helping people, like, kind of do make things worse. Like, she did what she could to save Buck, but now, he's a tin man and he has no heart. And, like, that kind of alters him. She I was gonna say she set the lion cub free and then he became cowardly, but to be honest, I think that's stupid. I'm just like the
I
alternative
mean,
was you were gonna
Bach tries
the
to use it.
it's like I'm like the alternative was that lion cub was gonna die. So
Right. Like, so Bach says, he's like, and the lion also has a grievance to repay. This is in March of the Winter. witch hunters, sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, um, the lion has a grievance to repay. If she'd let him fight his own battles when he was young, he wouldn't be a coward today. What are you what are you talking about, bro? He was in a cage.
He was a baby lion.
He was a baby, he was in a cage, and they were going to make it so he could never speak.
Yeah.
You're telling me that's better?
Yeah. Can you
No.
imagine if we were just like, oh no, these young children need to fight their own battles and so that they won't be cowardly as adults. And
Yeah,
it's like they're
seriously.
literally being abused.
Like they're actually children. Like it's we're allowed to care for them.
Yeah. So that part is kind of meh. Um,
Yeah.
but like everything else, like, she does feel bad about how things went down with Nessa. She did what she could. She was such a good sister, actually. Um,
Yeah, she really loved Nessa.
yeah. But then like she wasn't able to save Dr. Dillamon, and then she's uncertain of like, she's like, can I even read this Grimmery? Like, I don't really know what I'm saying. I never know what this spell's gonna do, and then once it happens, I can't undo it. And I don't even know if Fiero's alive. So there's definitely like a part of her there's like, I'm trying to do good, but I think I'm just making things worse.
Yeah.
And people are just
Yeah.
hating me for it.
So then at some point you're like, well, why do I even try? I get it.
And then we learn in March of the Witch Hunters, excuse me, um, like, the reveal that Madame Morrible was the one who, like, created the tornado. Because she's a witch who, like, controls the weather, which,
Yeah.
remember how we said there were some weather conditions that caused a famine and the animals were blamed for it?
Yeah. Who controls the weather? That's weird.
But yeah,
Hmm.
I can't say the reveal was like super surprising. I think once you learn like she controls the weather, you're like you can put two and two together. Um,
Yeah.
but it's when Glinda confronts her about it, and then she like spins it back on her. It's like, well, you're complicit in this too. You got what you wanted. You're part of the council for the wizard. You got your wand.
Hmm.
You got your magic handed to you. And this is just the price you paid for it.
So awful.
Are we ready to talk about For Good?
Oh God. Yeah.
It's really, it's kind of interesting how they almost like switch perspectives in the end. Alphaba realizes like, yeah, I don't have the numbers to be able to create real change.
Yeah.
I am limited. Um, and Glinda realizes like I've been complicit, and I need to actually like step up.
Yeah. Do something.
Why do you think Elphaba asks her not to clear her name? Because that's something Glinda can do so easily in her position. Like
In
it,
my opinion, Alpha thinks it's too late for her anyway at this point. I think she's like, at this point, it's so deep, the hatred. I don't know that it would change enough. And especially when, like, the wizard and Adam Morphle, and I'm assuming other people in the council, are doing. So, and risk for Glinda is pretty great. So I think there's part of Alpha that's protecting her too, and saying like that could put you in danger. It's not worth it when like Alphaba's more or less at the point that she's ready to give up anyway.
yeah. I kind of wonder what then the message of the show is if, you know, our hero who's representing like activists is like giving up and being asked like, oh, don't clear my name, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're saying sometimes it's best to play it safe
Yeah.
because it's too dangerous to directly go against the system.
Yeah. Completely. And I think that's um a callback a bit to Defying Gravity too, where, like you said, they've kind of swapped perspectives because that used to be Glinda, who was like, maybe we can do something, but not like that, because like that's putting you in direct danger.
This is another song. I'm not ready for Cynthia and Ariana to sing it
Oh,
together, but like just to see how much they both have meant to each other and like the impact they've made on each other's lives.
yeah.
I have no words for that.
It's, I mean, it's a song that I've sung many a time before with like an important person, just even if it was a karaoke moment or whatever, that it was like, and every time it just hits, it just like kind of rips your heart in two in the best kind of way. Because it's like, I think people so heavily prioritize and focus on romantic relationships, and the platonic ones, damn, if they aren't important. Like my platonic friendships are the reason I'm alive. My platonic relationships are the reason that I can keep going every day. And the romantic side is amazing and it's important and it has its own place, but I think people just really generally devalue the importance, the significance of, especially, I think, girlhood and that kind of friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. The moment I started to really decenter romance in my life and instead choose to invest in my friendships, first of all, was like when I started realizing that I'm actually a lesbian
Mm,
because I wasn't actively dating men anymore. But also, like, just really helped with, feelings of loneliness. Like, people are so lonely in this day and age, especially like, you know, 5 years into the pandemic.
hmm.
Like, people don't really know how to socialize anymore. And people don't really understand what it means to be in community with each other and like be a good friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're so like anthropologically, sociologically speaking, like we're a species built for community and for thriving together. And we're in such an individualistic society, and it just, takes away so much of that, the joy that it can bring, the support, the shared resources, even, all of that that our platonic communities or even family communities, if you are blessed enough to have them, uh, um, can bring.
Yeah, absolutely. Those connections and like those happy memories are ultimately what you're fighting for when
Yeah,
you're trying to make systemic change.
absolutely.
I'm just like, why fight? Why fight for change? So people can live happy, normal lives with each other.
Yeah, so that we can exist in peace and in joy and in love.
Yeah. And I think that's ultimately what Elphaba is choosing by surrendering and, as we see in the finale, faking her own death and like runs away with Fiero, who's now the Scarecrow. I
Hmm.
think a part of her was just tired of fighting and like wanted to be able to live a normal, peaceful life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's been in survival mode her entire existence. Like every moment of her life has just been survival. And I mean, I was there for a long time, and sometimes you don't even know that you are. And I think at some point, Elphaba figures it out. She's like, "Oh, I've truly been fighting nonstop. I need to take a breather."
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think the wizard, as awful as he is, that's what he ultimately ends up choosing. He's like,
Hmm.
I'm leaving Oz now and I'm leaving Glinda in charge. He also, because Glinda brings him the green elixir bottle and he realizes, wait a minute, oh my God. Do you think the moment he realizes that he is Elphaba's biological father, it like brings out the humanity in him almost, and that's when he makes the decision to leave Oz.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you. And I think there's a part of him that was like pretty depressed about not having the kid thing. Like you think about Sentimental Man, I mean, it's part of the show, but I think there's honesty to it as well of like he really did. He wanted to be a father. He wanted to have a family. He never intended in his little Omaha, Nebraska life to be some glorious, like idolized, essentially theater kid, because that's what the wizard is doing. He's a theater kid. He's putting on a show. Like he never asked for that. Um, he also was complacent and did some effed up things after, but yeah, he that wasn't the life that he dreamt of.
Yeah, we definitely do get the sense. I mean, they say it in part one of the movie where like he has no real power. He's kind of like one of Madame Morrible's puppets.
Yeah,
Madame Morrible's the real
yeah,
villain here.
really.
Yeah, we basically covered the entire show. Any final thoughts?
Um, I'm so in love with this show in ways that I never was as a kid again. So like it's just I'm finding more and more nuance. Every single time I've watched it, I find another thing. I think it's stunning. I think it's relevant. I think John Chu, Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, all of them just flowers, flowers, flowers. I hope they're recognized on Sunday at the Oscars. And I hope that everyone enjoys the little podcast we did.
Yay! Cynthia better get that Oscar because that's all she needs to
Seriously,
get the EGOT.
honestly, she deserves it and more.
For real. Um, yeah, my final thoughts are basically just the thesis I had for this whole episode, which is if you are a conservative, you're not allowed to like the show.
Yep, we are gatekeeping.
I don't care if you don't want art to be political. It is political. Musical theater especially is very political. So,
Very political. And if anybody out there is like, oh, Wicked helped me fall in love with musical theater, and I wonder what other show could be culturally relevant and very important and fun for me to watch. Cabaret. Everyone go watch Cabaret right now. Life
hell
is a
yes.
cabaret and we are living it.
Yeah. I'm so excited to cover that episode. That show, I mean.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Mykaela, where can everybody find you?
I am at Mykaela Sterris on Instagram. I am also at Mickey and the Pets. They're spelled kind of weird, so we'll probably put it somewhere. But yeah, find me. If you need any dog sitting services, I got you. And I hope we chat musicals again soon.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on the show, Mykaela, and for helping me kick off this podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Well, that's showbiz. Once again, if you like this episode, be sure to check out the extended version on my Patreon, as well as other bonus content for just $3 a month. Got any burning questions or comments? DM me on Instagram or leave a comment on YouTube or TikTok. And who knows, I may mention you in an upcoming episode. My socials and my guest socials are in the description box down below, as well as any other upcoming projects and a social justice spotlight related to this week's musical. Thank you so much for watching and supporting, and please come again.